During Friday's show, we got news that Jim Schwarz had officially resigned as the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. And over the weekend, we learned, according to Tom Pelissero, that the Browns have interviewed at least 2 internal candidates already. Jason Tarver, who's their linebackers coach, and Ephraim Banda, I believe I pronounced that right, who is currently their safeties coach. Todd Monken said at his introductory press conference he was intending to keep most of the defensive staff regardless of what happened to Jim Schwarz, so maybe that signals more of an internal hire. But, G, if it was up to you, do you think Todd Monken should go internal and promote from within, or look to bring in an external candidate to fill the Browns' now vacant defensive coordinator position?
Hey, man, this is the easiest question you done already gave me. This is an internal candidate all day and twice on Sunday, and it probably going to end up being Tarver. They like him around the league. He got some experience. He's the linebackers coach, so that means Carson Schwarzenegger is the one calling the plays. That's the person that's naming out different things on the defense. And the smartest thing Todd Monken did, and shout out to him because I don't know if they came up with this behind closed doors, but he was like, look, man, hey, Jim Schwarz, I didn't come here to coach with Jim Schwarz. I came here because Myles Garrett is out there. When I'm an offensive coordinator and I need to get people together, I got to chip Myles Garrett. And the best thing that he did was he put everybody at ease. I feel like everybody walking around doing interviews now at ease because he said something and I was like, man, oh, that was very smart. He said, oh, no, we're not changing the defense. I've already asked for years. Why don't you just simply copy and paste what somebody was doing and just run it? So, hey, bring me back the linebackers coach. Bring me the safeties coach. If any of the defensive players was upset that Jim Schwarz is not going to be here, he put that to bed by saying, I know that's your guy, that's your man. But let me just tell you something. You got 35 sacks or how many sacks you got because you're Myles Garrett and you nice. Denzel Ward, you are a perennial Pro Bowler because you can cover people. We're not going to recreate the wheel. We're not going to come in here and I'm going to bring a bunch of outside dudes in because guess what? This team is built a certain way and it's built to run that defense. So let me find somebody that's going to take a promotion that can come on here, run some of the same things they've been running, and we're going to keep the party rolling. So to me, I think it's smart that he does an internal candidate because it gives you some buy-in. Myles Garrett is not putting no memes up that, sitting outside of the Popeyes. And you're going to know that, guys, if you was eating before, you'll continue to eat. If you was getting sacks and you loved the defense before, don't be worried about that. We're going to keep some of the guys, the pieces, and we're going to keep rolling. So I think it'll be an internal hire. I just think he's going to keep most of the defensive staff because that was the successful part so you can concentrate on offense.
I think the smart play would have been to keep continuity and have Jim Schwarz be the defensive coordinator.
Jim Schwarz
That's the smartest play. Let me ask you a question, Jason, because I heard over the weekend, and I didn't get a chance to read much because I was very busy this weekend, but someone told me over the weekend that the ship has not sailed on Jim Schwarz, that there could be some sort of a common ground found, and that it's not a complete done deal that he doesn't come back. Is this?
I would be surprised.
Fake news?
I mean, listen, anything's possible. Until they fill that spot, anything's possible, or until he's somewhere else, if they work something out with him. I would be surprised if he's back. I talked to somebody who knows him well. I mentioned this last week. This person said, I would drop dead if he went back to the Browns.
Now, was that before or after he resigned?
Before.
Before.
Yeah, it was before. So I would be surprised. Anything is possible.
Yeah, right? I only asked because I was hoping that you had heard similar reports or rumors, because I don't even think it's a report yet.
Yeah.
This was
no, I mean
inside whispers.
Right.
And to me, I think that would be the smart play. Gee, outside of that, you're right. What you miss obviously is the preparation for a specific opponent. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that should be downplayed. Yes, you need a template. Yeah. And the template has to say the same. Mm-hmm. You can't. The last thing you could ever think about doing now is say, yeah, we're going to be a 3-4 all of a sudden. You're buried in the 4-3 world. Yeah. That's a done deal, and that's fine. I think they play it well. I was going to save this thought originally for the Super Bowl, but I'll just give a little tidbit of it now. I've been saying for 3 years, that the pendulum is swinging in the NFL from this crazy pinball offense to a defensive league.
Yeah.
And if the Buffalo Kansas City AFC Championship game was the apex of the offensive era, and I think it was, I feel like we could be either entering the apex or we're in the apex of the defensive era. And I just give you this year's playoffs, for example. It's always been about the quarterbacks. Well, who had Sam Darnold and Drake May being the Super Bowl quarterbacks? The two teams that were in the Super Bowl were the number 1 rated defense and the number 4 rated defense. And the number 1 rated defense had to beat the number 2 rated or the number 1 rated offense in the conference championship game to get to the Super Bowl. They beat the Rams not once but twice this season. And watching the game, and sometimes I think, and I love him, but sometimes I think Collinsworth can be a little prisoner of the moment and a little hyperbolic. But he said last night, and he paused before he said it, which told me he was thinking, do I go with this? He said that this was the greatest single defensive effort he had ever seen.
That's
now,
crazy.
It's
crazy.
Now, hold on. Before you say it's crazy, they got 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. One was set up. One was their fourth quarter touchdowns. No team has ever been shut out in a Super Bowl. I'm not going to put this Seahawks defense in with the Ravens and the Buccaneers and the Bears.
Or even their own Legion of Boom.
Even their own Legion of Boom. However, what I will say is sleep on this defense at your own peril.
It's good. It's a very good defense.
It's a great defense. And they proved that throughout the year. And they won a Super Bowl that way. And I think that bodes very well for the Cleveland Browns, and here's why.
Yeah.
Not that, and I don't want to take anything away from Darnold because Darnold is an unbelievable reclamation story, but it's still in the Super Bowl. If someone would have wrote on a piece of paper in July that here are your Super Bowl quarterbacks, you would have said that that's impossible. Yet it happened. So I think that, and I'm not going to kiss off the quarterback era. Quarterbacks are still hugely important in this league.
Yeah.
But what can top an elite quarterback is an elite defense. And they beat the 2 top guys for the MVP in the league, right?
They did.
I think
They stopped them.
Very, very different fashions.
Very different fashions. One, when the offense needed to outscore a high-powering offense, they did. And it's not like their defense completely shut the Rams' offense down. I thought that was the Super Bowl. I thought the Rams and Seahawks was the Super Bowl.
Those are the 2 best teams.
I did not think that the Patriots could stay on the field with the Seahawks because of that defense. So I bring all that up to say this. Our defense is probably not in Seattle's league, but we're a top-tier defense. And if you can get to a quarterback or get to a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold and Drake May, you don't need a top 5 quarterback because nobody has, now they might be in their top 5, but coming into this year, even after the year that Darnold had last year and the promise of Drake May, I don't think anybody had them coming into the year as top 5s.
No.
Like, it makes the Super Bowl feel more attainable. These 2 teams missed the playoffs last year.
And the quarterbacks didn't even play that well yesterday.
They did not. In fact, they both played poorly.
Bad.
They played poorly.
So, I was listening to...
And it was a running back that was the best offensive player in this game was a running back. So I think this shift from offense to defense that's happened slowly before our eyes...
you might have something, because I know you and Bull used to argue about this.
I thought Bull was going to be here today, and I thought he would push back on that. I know he would if he was here.
I look at it, and some of the stuff over the last 3 years is at this point is undeniable. That before, if you just had a top 5 quarterback, you can almost write your script, and you can guarantee that you're gonna have a really good shot. Now, it ain't so much about you gotta have a really good team, bro. You gotta have a good defense. You gotta have a good coach. And I think what happened that really caught defenses up is the precipitous gain in the way defensive linemen are just now number 1 or number 2, the best athletes on the field, and the offensive line.
In some cases, the second highest paid player on the team,
and
in some cases, the highest.
And the offensive line has gotten to a point where, like, I mean, even your best offensive lines, right? Like, shout out to poor Will Campbell. My boy. Look,
Oh, my goodness.
Shout out to the young man. He wasn't playing that bad.
But they get 7 sacks?
I mean, but they was like they showed levels to it, and so now it's a thing where you got a good defense, you got a nice running game. Their coach was like, nah. I knew it was a wrap when it was 9-0 going into the half. I said, oh, they're not scoring.
You know what it felt like at that point? You know what I said? I go, I'm
So-
watching Jim Tressel coach. Because that was Tressel ball.
Yeah,
that was play defense, kick field goals, and don't press it, don't take chances. And heck, it was 12-0. They had 4 field goals. That was the only scoring in the game.
And it thought
at that point,
and it felt 28-0.
It felt like it was long over. And so I do think that we're getting to that point. So if that's the case, and the defense of your team, like the Cleveland Browns, is clearly the strength, the last thing you're going to think about doing is changing the formula. You're a 4-3 defense. If you bring in one of the guys that's already here and has some sort of working knowledge of what was going on, I feel that's your best bet. I feel like, oh, and by the way, again, getting back to this, defense is now the dominant part of the ball. This was the first time, and I don't think it was the first time ever, but maybe it was, that the head coach was the defensive play caller.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
No, I mean, to me it feels like, wow, we're back into the Belichick days. We're back into the Giants, the Parcells, the late 90s, early 90s, into the mid 90s, where those defenses dominated, and that carried over into Belichick and his run at New England. But
I
the
disagree.
fact that the head coach is the defensive play caller,
yeah, Chris Collinsworth.
never happened.
Collinsworth, you missed one. The most dominant defensive performance I've ever seen is the Giants versus the New England Patriots when they had Tom Brady and Randy Moss, and they was running. Randy Moss had 20 touchdowns.
Well, they
25.
rewrote the record book that year.
I mean, they
score 17 or
yeah,
14?
Like they was doing it with 4 people. They was like, yeah, we're just gonna run our 4 guys, and they was getting home on them. So there's been some great defensive
that Bears
performance.
defense when they beat the Patriots in the 86 Super Bowl. What was that, like 55-7 or something?
The Ravens beat the Giants in 2000.
The Ravens defense.
Patriots versus Rams was really good because the Rams at the time when McVay first got there,
I covered that one. That game was awful.
wasn't it terrible?
Well, this one last night,
I was thinking about that game when I was watching this game.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is one of the nastiest.
Do you get a sense, Jay, that they're going to go with one of these guys that were already there?
I don't.
That's the only 2 names I've heard.
Yeah, I'm going to keep saying Nick Rawless.
Okay.
As a guy and that's just my opinion. That's not any reporting. Arizona's in flux right now. Mike LaFleur is still building the staff. They've got Rawless under contract there, but it doesn't sound like they're going to keep him, which I'm a little bit surprised by that. But if they move on from him as DC, I would 100% bring him in immediately as an interview. Now, the weird thing is he's probably going to want to bring some of his own guys, and you're trying to keep as much of this staff intact as possible. So that may mean it has to be sort of an internal promotion because I think anybody's going to want people that he's comfortable with and familiar with.
And I think the more continuity, the better.
That's going to be tricky from their standpoint. But I really like what the Cardinals did defensively. That's a team. That's a guy I would want. That'd be my first phone call.
Okay.
As the Cardinals.
Mike's got a name. Mike, who do you have?
Well, I mean, they did interview Aiden Dirty, the Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinator, for their head coaching job a couple weeks ago. Like,
he was the first one.
I'm just saying, if there's a defensive coordinator that's put together a hell of a resume that runs a 4-3, that is as hot a candidate as anyone, considering what he just accomplished working alongside Mike.
I know, but you know what? I would almost say that
I certainly wouldn't be against
being Mike McDonald's defensive coordinator is a little like being Andy Reid's offensive coordinator. It's title only. You're not even calling the plays.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe he is one of the next in line because Sean McVay calls the plays in Los Angeles, and all his offensive coordinators have got
his tree's been
and
his
a lot of those guys
crazy.
have hit. So I'm just saying that's a guy who helped orchestrate a defense that just shut down the Patriots.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's a guy, at least externally, that fits the 4-3
It's expected that Kubiak's going to be named the Raiders head coach.
Already officially named.
Oh, that happened this morning?
Yeah.
We didn't waste any time on that.
I think what the Browns is doing though, like to a certain extent, I don't know. I didn't hear nobody really say this, but I just feel like they telling the defense, "Hey, look, y'all should know how to operate by now, right?" like I'm putting it on Myles Garrett. Hey, listen, you got 20-something sacks. I got Denzel Ward. I got Carson
but
Schwarz.
you know what I'm always go back to? When we lost Bill Callahan, everybody's like, that's all, it's good, man, everybody's back.
Yep.
And they look like someone put 5 bags over their head.
Well, you know,
blew
that
a whistle and said, go.
I think, yeah, that offensive line is a very different. I think it's a different position because of think about it. He's teaching them not only scheme, he's teaching them run blocking, pass blocking. Like the fact that I still don't understand why, just like we don't have kicking coaches, I don't understand why there's not specifically a centers coach, a guards coach, and a tackle coach.
For a league that leaves nothing a chance.
Like you got one guy trying to teach 3 different positions with different skill sets.
Really 5, because the left tackle's a lot different than the right tackle.
You're right. So to me, I would have guys out there moving around. But look, hey, listen, shout out to Carson Schwarz and Myles Garrett. If you think about, what they have a bunch of guys back there that have played a lot of football together for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So whoever they bring in, you guys should be okay. Like, I don't want to hear like, oh, Jim Schwartz is gone, we just fell apart. Nah, bro. I still need you to go over there and get to this quarterback. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Hope they do, because that was the strength of their team.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame if the strength of their team got blown up as well.
Yeah.
When the whole mission, when they went into hiring a new head coach, was to keep that side of the ball intact.
Yeah. So, and by the way, I'm not going to sit up here and act like, Jim Schwartz is a non-factor now. Like, obviously, I told people before I would like to see Jim Schwartz get an opportunity to be the head coach. It didn't happen. They moved, they parted ways. But in general, I will say the game plans that you put together, that is a big part of it, and Jim Schwartz was doing those game plans. Yeah. So,
and then that's the macro, and then the micro, the internal, like your third quarter, 37. What are you going to do? Are you going to send pressure? Are you, and you there's a flow and a skill and an art to that. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing it for the first time or you're doing it for the 30th time, that's a big difference.